Hey, Captains, this is the Makeup Captains Meeting presentation for intramural basketball and the spring 2025 semester. I'm going to go through the Captains Meeting presentation that we went through in the meetings. There will be a quiz attached to this in some form or fashion, so just remember to watch the entire video and pass the quiz in order to get credit. I'm Dan Payne. I'm the competitive sports coordinator, so I oversee the intramural sports program, the club sports program, and a couple other things. And I'm the only professional in that program. There's a bunch of students who work there in that program. One of them is Tyler Lowe. He's our graduate assistant for sports programs, and he is going to be mainly the one you'll be communicating with. And we have another one, Jackson Parrott, who will also be communicating with you some, but he's in charge mostly of club sports. Then we have about 20 or so student staff members, and some of them are supervisors. They'll be wearing the blue polos or the blue pullovers at the sites, and just make sure you're going to want to check in with them if you have any questions or anything like that. But we also have officials who will be wearing the gold shirts. Goals today, really this presentation is broken down into three things: some intramural basic information. We'll talk about the rules we use in our leagues for intramural basketball, and we'll talk about a pillar of our program in sportsmanship. So we'll dive into some of the intramural basics first. We do ask a lot of you as captains. So here's some of the things that you're expected to do as a captain of your team. You're the one inviting and confirming players to your roster on Fusion Play. We're going to talk about eligibility here in a minute, but it's your responsibility to make sure everyone who's on your team is actually eligible to play intramural sports here at MTSU. Some of those policies and rules we're going over today, but you're in charge of kind of knowing all of those as well, not just the ones we talk about here. And that timeline of it, right? Like the communicating with your team ahead of time, making sure people are at the site at the right time, making sure everyone can be there, and communicating with us. If not, that's a big one we ask of you. Sportsmanship, like I said before, it's a pillar of our program, so we do expect you to be role models in that and help your team kind of meet our sportsmanship expectations. So we always start basic in these presentations, and we always talk about what intramural sports is. It's really an opportunity to get involved on campus. It's recreational, right? We want people to have fun. It's competition is great. That's fine if you want to compete, but winning is secondary to everything else in our minds. It's all about playing together with a group of your friends, blowing off some steam, taking your mind off a tough day, doing something that you love, or trying something new. Maybe you've never played something before and you're curious about trying it. So that's what intramural sports is for. It's a safe place in order to do that. And hopefully we're playing as fairly as possible. It's pretty difficult to do when you have this wide range of skill sets that we do, but that is a goal of ours as well. Believe it or not, you have to learn something by participating in our program. So a lot of people think you just learn in the classroom, but you're supposed to be learning outside of the classroom as well. That's why we're at a university. And so we have to prove that you are learning something by doing it. And sportsmanship is a big part of that, and we'll talk about a couple others later. So let's talk about some specifics. Eligibility. MTSU students, faculty, and staff can participate in intramural sports. If they're taking 1 credit hour or 18 credit hours, it doesn't matter. They're all eligible at the same level. There are a bunch of different faculty, staff classifications, so if you have questions about those, you can always reach out to us. Varsity players are not allowed to participate in their related sport for intramural sports. So like the men's and women's varsity basketball teams here at MTSU, they can't play intramural basketball. Right? Remember, intramural basketball is for fun. It's recreation based, so it's not fair to have those people with advanced coaching, advanced skills, advanced facilities, and perks to come play against recreational players. I always like to put a plug in for free agents. There are people out there right now who might be awesome players, but they don't know anyone or they don't know enough people to create a team. So please, 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 reach out to those people. You can find them on Fusion Play. We really want to try to get them involved if you can. Guest is a point of emphasis in basketball just because guests, other classifications of people can get into the building, can get into the rec center, but those people can't play basketball. So guest is one of those. We do have a guest fee pass. I think it's $7 or $10, something like that. but those people can't play intramural basketball. Alumni cannot play intramural basketball. They have to be student, faculty, or staff. All right, let's talk about some leagues. So we break our sports down into leagues, and the leagues are gender-based for the most part. So we have like a men's league, we have a fraternity league, we'll have a sorority women's league, we'll have a co-rec league. We have all those different leagues, and our policy is that a participant can play on 2 teams in one sport. That's one single gender team and one co-rec team. And that, again, that's per sport. So you can't play like on a men's team and a fraternity team. You can't play on 2 co-rec teams. You can't play on a women's and sorority team. You can't play on 2 sorority teams. You can't play on 2 women's teams. It's got to be one co-rec and one single gender. Game time is forfeit time. This is important because we've got about 45 teams in intramural basketball, and we play Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 6 o'clock to 10 p.m. So our games are scheduled on the hour. So we have a lot of games to get in, and we really need those games to start on time. So we say game time is forfeit time. If your team is not there, checked in, ready to go for game time, you're eligible to lose that game. So please come early. Please tell your team to get there at least 15 minutes early. Make sure they know what court they're on. Check out the game ahead of them. Like, keep an eye on it. When it's over, go to their court and check in. Everyone does have to be on the team roster in Fusion Play before they can play, before they're eligible to do that. So as much as you can prevent having players added at the game time, like at the site, then the easier it is to start on time. Because if you don't add any of your players beforehand, and you're trying to add 6 or 7 players to your basketball team before the game starts, it's going to take a while. And so it's your responsibility to get that done ahead of time. So make sure you're adding those players ahead of time. For your games, everyone will need to bring their MTSU ID or the Get Mobile app and log in with their MTSU credentials to check in. So each person has to come to the table or come to the staff, say, hey, I'm checking in for basketball or for my game. And for basketball, you have to have numbers. So make sure you have your jersey with your number on it. And if you don't have jerseys, if your team doesn't have jerseys, we do check them out to teams. There'll be an opportunity to do that at the site. You'll send a representative up, check them out, check out the jerseys, and we'll record who it is and ask you to get those jerseys back when your game's over. All right, let's talk about defaults and forfeits. We have, honestly, a lot of words and a lot of literature that is trying to get the importance to people of showing up on time or telling us if your team can't make it to your game. So we say, we just want to know. We get you guys are busy, right? You got a lot going on. You're trying to coordinate a lot of different things, but please do so ahead of time for us. We want to know by 3:30 on the day of your game if your team can't make it. And if you do tell us by then, we call it a default. And then you can call us, you can email us, you can stop in, you can do whatever to let us know, but we need to know. So if you default, it's still going to be a loss against your record. You're going to get an average sportsmanship rating, and that does go down as a default. So if you get multiple defaults, then you are going to forfeit. Forfeits are just the opposite. Forfeits are just when you don't show up and don't tell anyone. And we're really trying to avoid this because it sucks to show up to a game, get your team there, get ready to play, and the other team doesn't show up, and now you have no game. That sucks for the team. So please, please, please do your very best to not forfeit. And there's a lot of penalties for forfeits. You do get the loss as well. You get a really low sportsmanship rating. You're fined $40. And if you get an additional forfeit, we're just kicking you out of the league entirely. We do have a new website that we're advertising for participants. And it is really just a way to see your standings, see some live scores, see some schedules for other teams. We still use Fusion Play, and Fusion Play is the official, seeding for websites, and the official schedules will be out on Fusion Play, and Fusion Play will have the official rosters. But this website, it's just another tool for you. You're welcome to log in and try it and check it out. It might not be fully updated right now, but it will be before the season starts. All right, that's it for the intramural basics. So let's dive into the intramural basketball rules. We play 5-on-5 just like basketball. Every team has to have 3 players to start a game. You can play with as few as 2, but to begin, you must have 3 checked in, ready to go to play. You can play with 4, you can play with 5. If a team is playing down a person, the other team does not have to match them. They can still play with the max of 5. If you're on a co-rec team, there are certain gender ratios that you have to have. So if you're playing with 5, you have to have 3 guys and 2 girls, or 3 girls and 2 guys. If you're playing with 4, it can be 2 and 2. If you're playing with 3, it has to be 2 and 1. But you can never have a 2 difference in ratio between the genders. We play quarters, 4 10-minute quarters, just like high school rules. All of our rules are based on high school. We did this last year as well. Except, here's the difference. We run the clock until the last 2 minutes of the 4th quarter. So that's through everything, through free throws, through foul reporting, substitutions. The only thing that'll stop the clock in the first half is an actual team timeout, or if the officials have to stop the clock for something, they will. Then, once 2 minutes hits, we'll stop it on every whistle, just like normal high school basketball. Here's another difference. Each team only gets 2 full timeouts per game. Timeouts don't advance the ball. This is not the NBA, so make sure to use those timeouts wisely. We don't play overtime in the regular season. Again, we're trying to get the games in. When the playoffs hit, we will need a winner, so we'll play overtime. We have 3 mercy rules in intramural basketball, and these, again, are just kind of to speed things up. A lot of people don't necessarily enjoy playing when they're getting destroyed in their game, so it's not really as fun anymore, so we just kind of end those games early. But here's what they are. If a team is up by 50 or more with 10 minutes left, so in the 4th quarter, basically at the end of the 3rd quarter, game will be over for that. Same as 30 at 5, 30-point differential with 5 minutes left, 4th quarter, game over. The last one is a 15-point differential with less than 2 minutes left. That's not a game ender. We just run the clock for that. All right, I mentioned before, everyone needs jerseys with numbers. Come to the jersey checkout if you need to, and get some for your team. Jewelry is a big one for us in intramural sports. It's all about safety. Jewelry is all about safety. You can't have piercings. You can't have earrings or wristbands or necklaces. You can't have any of that. I don't care if your hole's going to close up because you take your earring out. You can't wear it. You can't wear it. Enough said. The only thing you're allowed to wear is a medical alert necklace or a medical alert wristband. So those are for people with certain medical conditions. You can wear those, but they have to be taped down to your body, and you must tell the staff ahead of time if you have that. If you do have illegal equipment, we're just going to give you a technical foul. There's no warnings. Your warnings are coming in the captain's meeting and this meeting, so you need to tell your players to take their jewelry off. Here's a picture of our court in the gym. You've probably all been in there, but we use the white line. That's the high school line. The old college line is that black line. We don't care about that one. So fouls, we use the high school or women's college rule for fouls, which is on the 5th team foul in each quarter, 2 free throws are awarded. We do not do the 1-and-1 anymore. That's old, so we just shoot 2 free throws on the 5th team foul. 5 fouls per player, and that player is disqualified from the game. Here's another change too. We don't shoot shots for technical, intentional, or flagrant fouls. If one of those is called, the team will just get 2 points in the ball. Substitutions, just like normal basketball, subs have to come to the table to check in. They need to squat or kneel down by the table, and then just please ask them to wait until they're beckoned onto the floor by the subs or by the officials. And that's all of the intramural basketball rules. So I'm going to talk to you about sportsmanship. As I alluded to before, our program is about fun. And one of the other things is we're supposed to be teaching you all something while participating. And so here's a couple of those things: accountability and commitment, right? You said you were going to be the captain. You said you were coming to the captain's meeting. You're following through with that. Check that off. Communication, you're communicating with us for defaults, or if you have questions about something, we have to show that you're doing that. And sportsmanship is probably the biggest one. So we're going to dive a little bit more into that. We have a sportsmanship scale here, so our staff will rate each team after every single game on your sportsmanship, and it's just based on your behavior. We use a 10-point scale, with 10 being excellent sportsmanship and 0 being like game ender, because we're forfeiting the game because the behavior is just out of control. So it's a scale, and it's a judgment-based scale. We do have specific things that stick out in the sportsmanship scale. And one of them is that every team must have a 7.0 sportsmanship average at the end of the regular season to qualify for the playoffs. Everyone qualifies for the playoffs as long as they have the right sportsmanship. It doesn't matter what your record is. And so forfeits, like I said before, are a 3.0 sportsmanship score. So that makes it really tough just based on the math to get into the playoffs if you get a forfeit. So I want to dive more into the learning part of it, because you're really, we want you all to be role models, okay? And this is supposed to be a safe space for you and your players to be managing your emotions, learning how to deal with competition and how to act during competition. And so, some people struggle with that. Some people can't handle their emotions when they're in that situation. And so we understand that things are going to be said that maybe someone regrets or that shouldn't be said. But this is supposed to be a safe place to do that. So, things like, when you win, are you a sore winner, right? Are you taunting other people? Are you rubbing it in? When you lose, are you the sore loser that blames everybody else? Are you complaining about the refs all the time? Are you just blaming somebody else for your failures or your team's failure? And so we want you to think about that. We want you to work on that. Like I said, we're here to help you work through those, but we're really asking for you all to be leaders of that. Role model that mentality, right? That idea, and try to identify other people who might be struggling with that. If you've got a point guard or someone that's struggling, right? Maybe they're not agreeing with any of the calls that are made. They don't like the refs, and they're not handling it well. They're just yelling and complaining the whole time. They're talking trash to the other team. They're talking trash to the refs. We want you all to shut that stuff down before we have to. We don't want to have to issue technical fouls or flagrant fouls. We don't want to eject people. That sucks to have to do that, but we will if we have to. We've taught our officials, don't be disrespected. So if you or your players say something disrespectful to them, they're going to get a technical foul. And so please help us with that and help us share that message. This is just a simple kind of message that we came up with. We want you guys to have fun. We really do. It's supposed to be fun. It's recreational sports. So as long as you don't fight, harass, taunt, or threaten anybody, we want you guys to celebrate. If someone makes a nice three or makes 3 or 4 threes in a row, or if someone throws down a nice dunk, it's okay to celebrate. That's what makes it fun. But you can't taunt anybody while doing it, And so there's a little bit of a fine line there, and it's going to be up to the judgment of our officials. But if they think that there's any sort of taunting going on, anything directed at the other team, then there will be a technical foul issued, or worse if we have to. Obviously, fights and harassment are completely zero tolerance for that. There's no place for that here in intramural sports. A couple specific sportsmanship-related things. Technical fouls are for unsporting acts, dead ball contact, jewelry, or requesting excess timeouts. 2 technical fouls does get you an ejection, same as a flagrant foul is an automatic ejection. All ejections are a suspension from intramural sports, and then you're suspended from everything indefinitely until you meet with me or our staff. We do partner with Student Care and Conduct. That's the office on campus that deals with discipline and kind of rehabilitation, if you can think of it that way. And so every semester I do send names to student conduct of people who are committing a lot of sportsmanship, violations, or there's several ejections, or maybe it's a really bad ejection. Maybe there's a borderline harassment thing. Maybe there's a borderline Title IX or a Title VI violation. Those are the things that we look out for, and we do partner with that office to help with that. Fans do affect your sportsmanship rating. Don't forget about that. In basketball, there's a designated area for fans. We'll play on courts 2 and 3 in the gym, and there's a spectator seating area that butts up to those courts. So all fans have to be seated in that area. We don't recognize coaches in intramural sports. All right, it doesn't matter if they're on the roster or it doesn't matter if they're not on the roster. If they're playing in the game, they can be on the bench. If they're not playing in the game, they can't be on the bench. They have to be up in the bleacher area. Now, we do tell our staff to be pretty strict about this. No, there's no coaches, right? We don't care about coaches. So you are allowed one non-participant on your bench, and that person is just they have a very short leash. So if there's anything at all said that's derogatory or disrespectful to anybody, we're just going to ask them to leave. Please clean up your benches after every game. There shouldn't be water bottles. There should be trash. There shouldn't be extra clothes left there, torn shirts. Just clean up your benches, please. If you don't, your sportsmanship score is going to get lower. That's it for sportsmanship. And then just a couple other basic things here. The schedules will come out hopefully today, Friday. And then we play 4 weeks in a regular season for intramural basketball. Playoffs will start March 17th after spring break. Like I said, everyone will make the playoffs. Most teams get 1 game per week on that day you signed up for. And then come playoffs, we seed them based on criteria. And then we do single elimination tournament after that. If you have questions about more rules or more policies, there's your website to check those out, our Campus Rec website. Follow us on Instagram if you don't already. And those contact pieces there at the bottom, that's Tyler's contact information. If you have questions, please, please, please reach out to him with anything at all. That's it for this presentation. I appreciate you watching, and have fun this season.